Welcome back, this is Kaya Redford. Again, we're talking about goals. Goal achieving, correct? And it's very important for us to know what I'm about to talk about so that you can really tap into your full potential and achieve your goals. There's how would I look at it? There's two parts of our mind, in a way. There's the conscious, the thinking mind, correct? And then there's the unconscious, some people call it the subconscious, which is the feeling mind. So the conscious mind is the thinking mind, the logical mind. It thrives off of information, data, decisions. It's analytical. And the unconscious mind, which some people call subconscious mind, really means the same thing, is more the feeling mind. Now, why do we call it the unconscious mind in our school or in our academy, whereas other people call it the subconscious mind, when we actually mean exactly the same thing? When people say subconscious mind, sometimes people get the impression that it's less than or not as important. What we've realized is that the unconscious mind, which they call the subconscious mind, is very important. What we've realized is that it conducts and controls about 90% of our life. 90% of our decisions, 90% of our thoughts, our behavior, our actions, and our results. So the subconscious mind is almost like the autopilot on an airplane. If you were to fly an airplane from LA to New York, as an example, or from one country to another country, you may know that for a big period of time, especially if it's a 10 or 11 hour flight, the plane is actually on what? It's on autopilot. So the pilot actually gears the plane as it takes off, and the pilot actually gears the plane and conducts the plane when it lands. And through the big section in the middle there, the pilot is pretty much not doing very much, right? The autopilot is taking over. And as if you think about a plane, there's an enormous amount of measurements and calculations and things happening simultaneously that the autopilot is in control of when the switch is on, correct? So when we look at the unconscious mind, we look at how powerful it is because it controls our body, it controls our breathing, it beats our heart when we go to sleep at night. By the way, would you agree when you go to sleep at night, you're not conscious, you're not there awake, alert. You're actually asleep, which is like being unconscious, and you don't wake up and remind yourself to breathe, do you? You're breathing. So there's something that's running your heart, running all of the organs in your body, and that's the unconscious mind. And most people don't know much about it. It's, by the way, it's not good, bad, right, wrong, evil, or good, or anything. It's just like an autopilot. We can call it the place of our instincts and the place of our habits. Another way of looking at the unconscious mind is, I'll give you an example. Have you ever perhaps had to go to a meeting? And let's say you were at your workplace and someone said they were meeting you at 3 o'clock. And to get to the place of the meeting, you would have to, from your workplace, you would have to hop on a freeway and drive to this location. And let's say this location was a good 30 minutes or 40 minutes away from your job. And let's say also that between your job and this location where you're going to a meeting, along the way on the freeway, is actually the exit that you usually take to go home, okay? So you leave your job, you're about to go get in the car and go to all the way to this meeting over here, and you're on the freeway headed that way, and something happens. Maybe someone calls you on your earpiece and you get involved in a conversation, and what happens is you're going on the freeway, you end up turning off the freeway on the exit that you usually would go home on, and you end up pulling in the driveway. Has that ever happened to you? And then you're off that phone call, you're about to get out of the car, and you're like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? I have a meeting over here. So my question to you is, who drove the car off that particular exit prematurely? Who drove the car through the specific streets all the way to your driveway? While you were focused, your conscious mind, right? You were thinking and engaged in that conversation on the phone. There was another part of you, a pattern, a habitual part of you that's used to driving your way home, that just autopilot just thought, obviously this is the way I go home. I'm used to going this way home, and it turned off and it went home. Has that ever happened to you? Or something similar? That's what I'm talking about. The unconscious mind is very much about, as well, repetition. It takes repetition to learn things. And when habits become ingrained, they just sort of happen. We don't even think about them. They just take control and they just happen. So the reason why I'm talking about this is very, very important, because we're talking about your goals. Because the conscious mind is the thinking mind, right? It sets the goal. It says, I have a goal, I have an intention. I want to make this amount of money, or I want to do this. The unconscious mind is the autopilot that runs 90% of our behavior, our actions, and our results. And don't you think that these two ought to talk to each other? Don't you think that these two ought to be in alignment, on the same page? Whatever you think of and with your conscious mind, you want your unconscious mind to be in alignment with that, to help you achieve it. Another way of looking at this, you could say the conscious mind, the thinking mind, is the goal setter. This is where you think of a goal and you state the goal. The unconscious mind is more like, think of it as the goal achiever. It's the engine. So let's say the conscious mind is the coordinates. It sets the destination. But the unconscious mind is more the motor and the engine that drives the car there. So we want to know this, and we want to learn about the unconscious mind, which again, like I said, some people call subconscious mind, because we want to bring it in alignment. Some people set goals, but the unconscious mind, their habits get in the way. They're prevented from achieving the goals. It's almost like they're not all there on the same page. And we want to get that alignment. It talks about being integrated and aligned. That means all of you, your conscious mind, your unconscious mind, which again some people call subconscious mind, is all on the same page. Everything you want, your behavior, your actions, your results, match it. When I say I'm going to do something, I don't know, my body just does it. Make sense? Now, do you know someone that seems like they're out of alignment? They say things they're going to do, or they make promises, or they have goals, but their behavior doesn't match their words. Like their words are one thing, but their actions don't match up. Do you know someone like that? This shows up in business. It shows up in personal relationships. Where people actually say actions speak louder than words. What they're basically saying is the actual actions the person takes, the habits that they do, actually tell us more about where they're at than what the talk. Many people, I'll say, don't walk their talk. Do you know people like that? I'll give you one last example, because we've talked about certainty before, right? And how powerful being certain and being confident is for you to achieve your goal. And the last example is, have you ever been driving in a city or a town and you don't know exactly where you are, and you pull over and ask for directions? Have you? And when you pulled over and asked directions, maybe you pulled over and saw someone and you rolled down your window, you say, excuse me, can you tell me how to get to, whatever, the fair or the art show or the museum or the this or the that? And on one case, one person says to you, oh, absolutely. Take this street directly down the road, make a right on Olympic, make a left on this street, and it's right there on the left-hand side. And they were just very certain, and you believed it. You're like, okay, this person obviously is from here. They know, they didn't hesitate. They knew what they were talking about, and you went with it. Yes? They were certain. Their words and what you felt from them as they were talking to you, their voice, their tonality, their body language said that they were certain. Yes? Okay, awesome. Well, have you ever had the exact opposite? Where you pulled over and you asked someone for directions, and then you asked them and they said to you, oh, so you go this way and you make a right on Olympic, and Yeah, no, I know how to get there. And then you make a left on, and they're just everything about the way they're communicating to you tells you that they're giving you directions, but they don't really know what they're talking about. They don't really know, they're not really sure in themselves. And you see it for their eye movements, you see it in their body language. In other words, there's two things communicating to you: the words and the behavior, the body language. The conscious mind is telling you that this is where it is, but their unconscious mind, which is considered like the subconscious mind, the behavior, the body language, is showing that they're not certain, okay? Now, what if we apply this to our goals? People say that, I want to achieve this goal. The question is, what is the body doing? You know, how certain are they? Are they thinking it, but not really feeling the confidence? When you speak to that person, do you really feel the inner alignment, the integration that they're going to achieve the goal, or do you feel the lack of confidence? So this is important for us to know, because throughout the course of this program, we're going to do what? Take a guess. We're going to build what? Integration, and we're going to build what? Alignment. So when we say we're going to do something, we do it. Our subconscious mind, or I like to call our unconscious mind, helps us get there. The conscious mind is the goal setter. The unconscious mind, or the subconscious mind, is the goal what? Goal achiever. Goal setter, goal achiever, and we get to our goal. Awesome? So this is just more for you to know so you can fully grasp and understand how we're going to do and what these different things are, and how we're going to bring both worlds together so that you can achieve great success in life. Actually, you know, one of the great coaches of all time, Napoleon Hill, he said, as the tree is broken, or as a twig is broken, let's say it's broken, let's say it's broken like this. He said, so shall the tree grow. So what we want to do is we want to take things that are perhaps non-alignment, maybe broken or whatever. We want to create alignment, and from that place we can grow. We can grow, we can achieve any goal that we want to achieve. Make sense? Awesome, great lesson today, and I will see you on the next video.